Let's look at transformations of functions with this graph of a function. We'll call this f of x. And we want to find the transformation g of x equal to f of negative 2x plus 1. So let's first write down the transformations that this is going to include. So that plus 1 is going to give us a vertical shift up, one unit, and the negative in front of the x will be a reflection, and because it's in front of the x, it is over the y-axis. And the 2 being multiplied by the x is going to be a shrink horizontally. Okay, so now if we think of the order that those need to be done in, the reflection and the shrink are in the same level, and the vertical shift comes after that. Okay, we can go point by point. If we want to go that route, let's identify several points that are in the graph of this function. So we'll just make a table. And if we start on the left side, the first point we can identify, we have x is negative 3, y is negative 3, and then going right from there, we can identify a point of negative 1, negative 1. Then 0, negative 1, 1, 0, 2, 1, and 3, 0. Okay, let's look at the first piece of this transformation where we're reflecting over the y-axis and we are shrinking horizontally. So what we're going to do with our x's there are we're going to put a negative in front, and then we divide whatever x is by 2, by that multiplier. And we leave the y's the same. So we're going to just go through and change each of those x values by making that transformation. So the negative 3 becomes a positive 3 halves, negative 1 becomes a positive 1 half, 0 stays 0, 1 becomes a negative 1 half, 2 becomes a negative 1, and 3 becomes a negative 3 halves. So let's put preliminary or intermediary points on the graph. Okay, these aren't going to be our final points because we still have that vertical shift up. So we're going to take the point 3 halves, negative 3, for the first point. So 3 halves is like 1.5. So we got a point there. And then we have a point 1 half, negative 1. So we have a point there. 0, negative 1, so a point right there. Then negative 1 half, 0. After that, we want a negative 1, 1. Get that a little closer. Negative 1, 1, and then negative 3 halves, 0. So right there. Okay, so that just gets the reflection and it gets the horizontal shrink. So now if we want to shift up, we're going to just increase our y coordinates by 1. So let's just make a column for that. If we want, we can take y plus 1. So we'll go y plus 1. Okay, now we can do that if we want. We can also just, it's pretty easy to determine what that's going to be. Okay, so we take each of those blue points that we put and we move it up 1. So we have negative 3 halves 1. And then we've got a negative 1, 2. And negative 1 half 1. 0, 0. Then 1 half 0. And 3 halves negative 2. All right, those are the points that we want to connect with a line to make the graph. And that is our function g of x, right, equal to f of negative 2x plus 1.